So I was asked to share the local study ratios of the property value studies that are performed by the Controller of Public Accounts. And I have been asked on previous years, but sometimes I'm embarrassed because we're not at 100% and we're not even close to it. And we've been trying to get as close as we can over the last years. And of course it's difficult. And I'll show you some of the comparison of the past 6 years for Starr County Appraisal District and the school districts in our county. And so I'll share with you, especially the website where you're able to obtain the information, and then the slide where all taxable property in our county is divided into different categories, and to pay close attention to some of the categories and how they can impact your district. And then of course the last 3 slides are dealing with the comparisons for over the last 6 years. So next slide, please. So we all know that the Government Code Chapter 403.302 requires the controller to certify taxable values findings to the Commission of Education. And then this, of course, I understand that it's applied to all the local schools, and that's how the school districts receive their funding. So one of the things that I would like to see that I guess we don't see from the appraisal district's perspective is that we don't know how, I guess maybe we can sit down with the finance director or the one that from the schools on how our values are plugged into the reports so that they can, that's how they receive their funding. I would like to see that maybe, in the future. And this is basically, the information that the slide that you're seeing is what I'll be talking about. So let's move on to the next slide. So the first slide is the controller. Of course, the website is very helpful. So of course, the Controller of Public Accounts takes care of many departments, but most important, when you click on the top part, and I don't see it, if you lower it down a little bit, go up to the menu on the top of the screen. I think it's below that. It's supposed to be taxes, and it's property tax assistant. Let me see, I was looking at a different screen, that's why. Let me see. Go down. No, it's usually there on the right side, on the left side, right, you're right. If you click on that property taxes, that's really all the information that deals with the appraisal district. It's anything that deals with the appraisal district, you can find it there. They have videos on how to appeal. They have videos for taxpayers on how to, there's a lot of useful information. If you go ahead and go down and under resources, under the Comptroller Services, on the left side, the property value study and self-reports, the very last one. If you click there, it will take you to the counties, and that's where you can choose your county. If you go down, the PVS findings, I'm sorry. And then you have, for the past 6 or 7 years, you have them there. You have the preliminary and the final study. So if you click on the final, let's say for 2020, if you click on the final results, that's where you find the county and that you belong to. So in this case, we're going to Starr County. And then that's where you can find the 3, we have 3 different schools. We have the Rio La Grulla and ISD, we have San Isidro, and we have Roma. If we look at a particular one, let's say for instance, the Rio Grande City, the very first one, the school district summary worksheet. I usually like to pay, you see, our ratios are low, so sometimes that's why I don't, but when I came in to work for the Starr County, 2013, the ratio actually, like for Roma ISD, was 50%. And we've been trying to increase this, and I'll show you in the comparison how the market has been lately, that it's just been crazy that we haven't been able to keep up. But anyway, when you look at this website, you'll notice on the left side, all the categories, all the taxable properties that we appraised, they're divided or grouped into certain categories. For instance, you have the A, category A, which is a single family, and all that is just residential homes. And then B is multifamily, C is vacant lots, and so forth. And it goes down the list. So one of the things that you've noticed, the middle, the column, which is a 2020 weighted average mean ratio, you'll notice that only some of them have a ratio and not all of them. So what that means is that the Comptroller of Public Accounts just performed the study on those particular categories. So you'll notice that on the multifamily, they didn't do it, or in the farm and ranch improvements, and so forth. Also, I would like for you to, it's very important to pay close attention to some of the categories. For instance, if you scroll down or you minimize them a little bit, like category G, G is gas and oil production, and category L2 is industrial. Those values are important to the taxing entities, and this would be very helpful. Like, for instance, if you're planning on some projects, I'll tell you why. Like, for instance, category G, which is the oil and gas, the last value, the final value that we have is 106 million in our county. Well, like 4 or 5 years ago, this value was 800 million. Why? Because it mostly was gas production, but there was a year that we dropped that value by 400 million, which really, it affects mostly like rural counties. It probably doesn't affect that much Hidalgo and Cameron, because they base their values on the businesses. And you know that the other categories, like for instance, A, which is a single family residential, that one, you know that real estate, it's here. It's not going to go away unless there's a disaster or something like that. But otherwise, those values are pretty stable. But these other categories, category G, we don't know what it's going to be like next year. So as a result, we saw a lot of the counties, like for instance, Zapata or Jim Hawk or Brooks and Starr County, that we drop a lot. Some of the counties, what they did, they had to cut on their budgets. They had to lay off people. Starr County, we were very fortunate that category L2, which is the wind farms, kind of put that value back into our system. Otherwise, we would have been hurting, because if you take 400 million multiplied by their tax rate, and let's say your tax rate is $1.50, like for school or whatever, that you're talking about $60 million that you'll be losing. I'm sorry, $6 million that you'll be losing in just 1 year. So I just wanted to point that out, so that sometimes if you do have an increase in this, in certain categories, that maybe you can work with short-term projects and not long-term, because otherwise, if you work on long-term projects and you have a decrease in this category, it's going to affect the other local taxpayers. So anyway, I just wanted to point that out. And so I did that. So go on to the next one. This is a comparison for the past 6 years. and this is the Rio Grande La Grulla ISD. And you'll notice our local value in 2015, it was 444 million. And then the value that was assigned by the Comptroller of Public Accounts was 601. Well, we had an increase the following year, but of course, and we were happy that we were going in the right direction. And but then the 2017, we increased the local value, and this is only the category A. I'm just showing you that particular category. So on that category A, we increased the value from 2016 to 2017 by about 24 million, but it still didn't meet the expectation of the Comptroller of Public Accounts, and we still couldn't keep up with the market. And as you can see, 2018, we increased it more, 2019, but still we're even lower than 2015. So that's why when I said at the beginning, sometimes I don't want to participate, it's because we haven't gotten up there. And you also notice that if we don't meet the 100%, then we have a property value study every year. So every year we're working on preparing these reports, and we just can't keep up because we don't have the resources to do so. But I just wanted to point that out. And even like that, of course, the taxpayers are not very happy with their values. But I just wanted to point that out. If you move on to the next slide, this is the Roma ISD. And you'll notice the same from 2015 to 2020. Of course, we've been increasing it a little bit, and then we go down, and it's difficult to maintain and to keep up with what the Comptroller wants for us to do, and also to keep up with the taxpayers, the local issues that we have in our office. The next slide, please. This is the San Isidro ISD. Now, San Isidro, they were lucky because you'll notice the weighted mean ratio. They were not audited on this category on 2019 and 2020. So, I don't know if they get their full funding or not, but because, like I said, I don't see that part. I understand that Roma and Rio La Grulla ISD, Roma lost about $3 million or so in school funding, and the Rio La Grulla ISD lost about $4 million this year, this current year. So I just wanted to pinpoint that and show you how our school districts stand, and we still have a long way to go in order to get to the 100% ratio study that the Comptroller of Public Accounts wants. So basically, that's it. Unless there's any questions that I might be able to answer.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Guerra? Anyone in the audience? Ms. Guerra, do you know why like in the example you were giving, Rio Grande, why the Comptroller may choose not to audit like the second category, I guess.
The categories?
Yes, is it because the value is very low compared to the single homes?
No, sometimes they don't have sufficient sources, like they don't have sufficient sales in order to make the study. Okay. So they skip that. Okay. So I mean, that's what I've understood. I don't know what my peers, if they would like to share if they have any knowledge on that, but I understand that it's because they don't have enough information to be able to calculate that ratio.